Hi, beautiful. In chapter 21 of the text, Reason and Perception, in section 4, the fear to look within. Paragraph 1, it says, the Holy Spirit will never teach you that you are sinful. Errors he will correct, but this makes no one fearful. You are indeed afraid to look within and see the sin you think is there. This you would not be fearful to admit. Fear in association with sin, the ego deems quite appropriate and smiles approvingly. It has no fear to let you feel ashamed. It doubts not your belief and faith in sin. Its temples do not shake because of this. Your faith that sin is there, but witnesses to your desire that it be there to see. This merely seems to be the source of fear. I'll pause there and say it's very interesting. It's saying that the ego might think it's afraid of seeing itself as sinful, or the body or the psyche as sinful, but that's not really what it's afraid of. That's actually comforting to the ego, because that's its temple. The ego's temple is fear. So seeing yourself as sinful it builds that temple. It gives it stability. Paragraph 2, remember that the ego is not alone. Its rule is tempered, and its unknown enemy, whom it cannot even see, it fears. Loudly, the ego tells you not to look inward, for if you do, your eyes will light on sin, and God will strike you blind. This you believe, and so you do not look. Yet this is not the ego's hidden fear, nor yours who serve it. Loudly indeed, the ego claims it is, too loudly and too often. For underneath the constant shout and frantic proclamation, the ego is not certain it is so. I'll pause here and say, methinks thou dost protest too much. Applies to the ego. Beneath your fear to look within because of sin is yet another fear, and one which makes the ego tremble. What if you looked within and saw no sin? This fearful question is one the ego never asks. And you who ask it now are threatening the ego's whole defensive system too seriously for it to bother to pretend it is your friend. Those who have joined their brothers have detached themselves from their belief that their identity lies in the ego. Wow, I'm going to read that again. Those who have joined their brothers have detached themselves from their belief that their identity lies in the ego. A holy relationship is one in which you join with what is part of you in truth, your true identity. And your belief in sin has been already shaken, nor are you now entirely unwilling to look within and see it not. Your liberation still is only partial, still limited and incomplete, yet born within you. Not wholly mad. You have been willing to look on much of your insanity and recognize its madness. Your faith is moving inward, past insanity and on to reason. And what your reason tells you now, the ego would not hear. The Holy Spirit's purpose was accepted by the part of your mind the ego knows not of. No more did you. And yet this part, with which you now identify, is not afraid to look upon itself. It knows no sin. How otherwise could it have been willing to see the Holy Spirit's purpose as its own? This part has seen your brother and recognized him perfectly since time began. And it desired nothing but to join with him and to be free again, as once it was. It has been waiting for the birth of freedom, the acceptance of release to come to you. And now you recognize that it was not the ego that joined the Holy Spirit's purpose, and so there must be something else. Think not that this is madness. For this your reason tells you, and it follows perfectly from what you have already learned. There is no inconsistency in what the Holy Spirit teaches. This is the reasoning of the saying, you have perceived the ego's madness and not been made afraid because you did not choose to share in it. At times it still deceives you. Yet in your saner moments, its ranting strikes no terror in your heart. For you have realized that all the gifts it would withdraw from you in rage at your presumptuous wish to look within, you do not want. A few remaining trinkets still seem to shine and catch your eye, yet you would not sell heaven to have them. Oh, wow. Wow. All I can do is bear testimony that this is true. I remember a time when I thought I was bad. And really, everyone was bad. And in large part, thanks to A Course in Miracles and the custom designed course of life that each of us is getting to experience, I was able to look past that lie. Wow. A few remaining trinkets still seem to shine and catch your eye, yet you would not sell heaven to have them. Beautiful, beloved. I'm going to ask myself and invite you to ask yourself, what are the little trinkets of ego that are still catching our eye? The world of man, which is ego-driven, fear-driven, fear-based, it would tell us that we are all irredeemable, we're all separate. It wouldn't have us see each other as our fellow man in this beautiful world we live in, as a holistic ecosystem of cause and effect in which we are all innocent. Because A Course in Miracles does not teach that errors in thinking is sin. It does not teach that ignorance is sin. It teaches that ignorance is something that can be corrected. And in that sense, you are innocent. What is this beautiful, wise part of your mind? This wise mind. It's the part of you that has not forgotten. The Holy Spirit's purpose was accepted by the part of your mind the ego knows not of. No more did you, because the you, the awareness that you are, was so attached to the ego programming, it thought it was that. And as you move away from that and into an awareness of the truth, of this aspect of your consciousness that knows, it doesn't even have faith or belief, but knows. Is not afraid to look upon itself. It knows no sin. And is willing to see the Holy Spirit's purpose as its own. Which is to let go of the delusion of separation, of I'm good, you're bad. To look past the nightmare, the insane machinations of ego, and to see the truth of who and what you are. And who and what you are, and who and what your brothers are, despite any illusions to the contrary. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this beautiful work. This is really important, and I'm so grateful you made time for it. Thank you.